unmute everybody. And we are going to go ahead and start. So again, as a reminder, we're going to need 2 blocks, a blanket and a strap, and we're going to start lying down. When you lie yourself down, make sure your blocks are more towards the upper corners of your space. So when you turn around, wherever the normal top of your space is where your blocks will be. And then your strap has to be somewhere near your head. So you'll just make your way down onto your back once you've established your props. And for today, we've got a couple of options of how we begin. Some of you might want to just lay out in Shavasana. Some of you might want to take Supta Baddha Konasana. And some of you might want to take constructive rest. Whichever option you take, you'll allow yourself a few moments to just settle into the shape. Our focus this week is going to be on learning to try to build a sense of, I don't want to say tolerance or endurance, or we'll say perseverance. Sometimes things can come up that are really challenging for us. And it can be so easy to forget that we have this practice that is here to that is intended to help us learn how to persevere in those moments, how to confront or face whatever challenges we experience, and do it with a sense of grace, a sense of openness, a sense of ease. So as you're here for the next 3 to 4 breaths, I want you to notice how you can start to deepen the breath, how you can start to allow more and more of your weight to settle into the floor, into the support beneath you. And how through the grounding of the breath, through the settling of the body, it creates a spaciousness within the mind, within the heart, within the energetic center that we are. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and take one more deep breath here. And then at the end of your next exhalation, we're all going to come to a neutral position with both of our feet on the floor, hip distance apart, our knees bent. Awesome. From there, let's go ahead and draw just your right knee into your chest. Hold on to the back of the right thigh, so right underneath where the thigh and the calf meet. And then as you're pulling the back of your thigh into your chest, start to flex through your left foot and slide your left leg long against the floor in opposition. And as you're holding on underneath your calf, back of the hamstring, you can feel a little spaciousness into the space where your right knee exists. And some of you might point and flex that foot. Some of you might circle that ankle. But you're just going to take a moment to breathe and just take a moment to notice how it's feeling to settle into the shape and into the body. Awesome. And then see if you can come to stillness with that ankle. Draw the right knee a little closer. Extend the left heel down into the floor a little bit more. And then on your next exhale, gently bend the left knee again. Plant the left foot on the floor. From here, inhale, reach your right foot up towards the sky. And again, you'll just push the thigh into the hands into the thigh, feeling what this feels like. From here, release the hands to the floor. Bend your right knee, cross the right ankle on the top of the left thigh for a figure 4. And then you're just going to pause here. So Jenny, bend your left knee, plant the left foot on the floor. Fantastic. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will thread your hands through the whole of your legs and grab the back of your left thigh this time. And then you might notice what it feels like to really flex through that right ankle. Press the right ankle against the top of your left thigh. Some of you might press your right elbow crease into your right inner thigh. Some of you might pull the legs a little closer towards you. Some of you might rock a little bit right to left. But those of you in particular who said you've been sitting a lot this week, I want you to just notice what's happening in the body. I want you to notice what's happening in your breath. Okay. If you're in movement, come to stillness. Everyone release your arms out into a T shape to the right and to the left. Lower your left foot back to the floor and pause here. Okay. Draw your right ankle to the outside edge of your left thigh, crossing the legs completely like you're sitting in a dress. And then start to resist as you pull both legs over to your right. You might then take your gaze over to the left, but we want to find a nice stretch across the top of your IT band, top of the hip flexors on that left side. And you just pause and you breathe. And if you want, you press your left knee up, you pull your right shin down, and you just find what that feels like, noticing how the breath is working in your body. Fantastic. To come out of this, you'll resist and draw the legs back up to center. And then once you're vertical, uncross the right thigh. Take a moment just letting both feet root onto the floor. And notice if you notice anything between the right side and the left side. And then gently we'll try the other side. So draw your left knee into your chest. Interlace your hands at the back of your left thigh, so underneath the thigh and the calf. And then you'll start to flex through your right foot and slide your right heel along the floor until it's straight. Flex through the right foot, press down into the right heel, the back of the calf, the back of the thigh, and gently hold or hug that left knee in towards you. And you're just feeling a nice opening across the front of your right thigh. And then again, some of you might point and flex that left foot. Some of you might take some ankle circles here, but you're just noticing. Do you have a death grip around the leg, or can you soften the tension around your shoulders as you're holding on to the back of your left thigh? Nice. And you've got 2 more breath cycles here, really hugging the left knee up towards the chest, really reaching the right heel and away in opposition. At the end of your next exhalation, bend the right knee, plant the foot on the floor. And then inhale, reach your left leg up, and you'll just take a moment to kick the thigh into the hands, pull the hands into the thigh. Just feel what that feels like as the left leg extends up. And then from here, release the arms out into a T shape. Externally rotate your left leg, bend the knee, cross the ankle over the top of the right thigh for figure 4. Choose to stay here or thread your hands through the whole of your legs as you draw the legs towards you. And you've got about 5 breath cycles here. And you just pause and you breathe. And you notice what it feels like. And again, some of you will really just press that left ankle into the top of the right thigh. Some of you will use your left elbow into the middle of the left thigh. Some of you will shift a little right to left. Some of you will pull the configuration of your legs closer to your face, but whatever you're doing, notice if there's any unnecessary tension around your shoulders. Notice what's happening in your breath. Nice. From here, gently release your hands. Draw your right foot to the floor and pause, arms in that T shape. Cross your left thigh completely over your right thigh so the ankles are close to each other. And then as you resist, you'll draw the legs over to your left and maybe look towards your right. And again, you're just looking for a nice, gentle elongation happening along the top of your right hip. So the legs are going to the left, and we're trying to feel something nice happening on the front of the left hip. And you just pause and you breathe. You notice that even when there's sensation that comes up, we always have the possibility to choose how we're reacting by recommitting to our breath. On your next in-breath, come back up to center, resist as you do so. And then as you exhale, gently uncross the legs and extend both legs long now against the floor. And you'll just take a moment to notice what it feels like here. And this is just for a diagnostic tool. So you just see what this feels like. How do the backs of the legs feel? How do the fronts of the hips feel? What do you notice in the shoulders, in the back of your head? Is there even weight on your right side and your left side? Great. From here, let's go ahead and bend both knees, plant our feet firmly on the floor. Now again, draw your right knee into your chest. At this point, some of you are going to grab your strap and put your strap across the ball of your foot. If I opted or suggested using a towel, you can also put the towel across the ball of your foot. Towel just has a little bit more circumference or area that it takes up than the strap, but you're free to use whichever one you want. And then the first thing that we're going to do is we want to make sure that we have one end of our prop in each hand, and then you'll extend your right leg up towards the sky if it hasn't already gone. And those of you that are working with this, I want you to really press up through your right heel, press up through your right big toe mound and pinky toe mound, and pull down evenly with the strap or the towel. Some of you will flex through your left foot and slide your left foot along the floor in opposition, and you'll just take a few breath cycles here. Now, as we're here, I want you to begin to notice, what does it feel like to kick your right foot up and away from you as you pull the right foot closer to you? So we're trying to activate and engage the muscles as we strengthen and lengthen the muscles. So you're just paying attention to what's happening in the back of your right hamstring. Are you still breathing? That's the most primary question that we've got. And then if you're breathing, fantastic. What's happening with your left foot? Is the left toes or the left foot flexed or the toes pointing straight up to the sky? Great. Are you noticing what's happening in the outer right hip? Can you draw the right hip away from your shoulder just slightly as you continue to press up through the right heel and draw the leg away from you? Nice work. Now here's our fun part. As best as you can, you're going to leave the leg exactly as it is and remove your strap or towel. So the leg stays in exactly the same height. Fantastic. And then start to point and flex your foot as you slowly lower your leg down towards the floor to meet its friend. So slowly pointing and flexing the right foot as you're lowering the right leg down to the floor to meet the left leg. Oh, wow. Look at us go. Look at us go. Look at us go. Fantastic. Once both legs are on the floor, just take a moment to rest there. Take a moment to breathe and notice if you notice anything between your right side as opposed to your left side. Awesome. Gently bend the knees, plant the feet firmly on the floor. Draw your left knee into your chest. Draw the strap or the towel across the ball of your left foot. And then as you're ready, extend the left leg long, reaching the left foot up towards the sky. And just as you did before, you take the opportunity first to lengthen up through the back of the leg. So really extend the left heel up, then press up through your left big toe mound, your pinky toe mounds as you actively pull down with both ends of whatever tool you're using. And then some of you will choose to stay here, softening any tension around your shoulders. Others of you will flex through your right foot and start to extend your right foot long against the floor beneath you. And then once you've got all that going on, we come back to this simple notion, which is actually quite complex, of returning to our breath. What's happening in the breath right now? And once you know that the breath is going and it's pretty stable, it's pretty consistent, you'll bring your awareness to your right leg. Is your right heel rooting down, the back of the right calf pressing down, the back of the right hamstring? Are all 5 toes active on that right leg and pointing up to the sky? Do you notice if there's a little bit of space that you can create on the front of your left hip, even though you're kicking the leg away from you and pulling it closer to you? And then what's happening in your jaw? Can you let go of any tension there? Fantastic. And you've got 2 more breath cycles here, just observing. And then at the end of this next exhalation, you'll keep the leg where it is, release your tool, whether it's a strap or a towel, and then once again, very slowly start to point and flex your foot, and then slowly reach that leg forward and down until your left leg meets the right leg. Left leg meets the right leg. Yep, and you're taking your time and you're breathing through it all. And you're all doing so great. And then by the time you get to the floor and both legs are on the floor, you just take a moment to breathe and take a moment to notice. Does the right side and the left side feel a little bit more balanced, a little bit more symmetrical? We're never entirely symmetrical, but we're trying to aim for that. Great. And then from here, let's go ahead and bend both knees, plant both feet on the floor, and then draw your knees into your chest. Great. I want you to hug, or rather slide your hands underneath your legs, so the backs of the kneecaps. There we go. And then tuck your chin to your chest, round your forehead to your knees. Yeah. And see how small of a tiny ball you can make here. Now, this is going to be fun for all of us. You're going to take 10 rolls up and down the spine, really trying to curl your head to your nose and not let your feet propel you. So keep your heels pretty close to your tuchus as you do this. And you roll up, then you roll down. Nice work, guys. You got 10. And you'll notice that as you keep doing this, you're not only massaging your back, but you're getting a little higher up each time. Oh, poor Erica, dog is playing with you. And when you get up, you might stay in balance once you get up there. And you might take a few breaths to just continue to hold on to the backs of your legs. And you just hold here and you pause and you breathe when you get there. Yep, and some of you might release your hands forward towards your feet. Yep, and hello Pilates, aren't we good? We're in this half boat pose for 3, half boat pose for 2, half boat pose for 1. Fantastic. Go ahead and cross the ankles. And now you're going to make your way over onto hands and knees. Now at this point, we do want to make sure our blocks are towards the upper outer corners of your space. So if that's needed, please do that. And then if you have sensitive knees, you might choose to pad your knees with your blanket. Not necessary, but you have that option if you'd like. And then from there, we're going to find our poor, sad little cows that don't live in California. So with your hands underneath your shoulders, drop your head, drop your heart, drop your belly. And I really want you this time as you're here to focus on blossoming your buttocks, as Cayenne would call this. So you're really trying to feel how far apart you can spread your sit bones as you drop your head and you drop your tummy and you press the arms into the floor. So straight arms, and you're really just focusing on blossoming your buttocks. Your sit bones widen. Nice work. And your head becomes a little heavier and your heart becomes a little heavier and your arms become a lot stronger. Nice work. Now from here, start to scoop your belly away from the floor. Drop your head even further. Drop your tail even further. Scoop all your internal organs away from the floor. And suddenly you're finding yourselves into a cat pose. Hooray! Fantastic. And then inhale, drop your heart, drop your belly, lift your gaze, lift your tailbone, find your cow. Nice. And you've got 4 sets of these. So exhaling, scooping all of your internal organs away from the floor. And then inhaling, lowering them down to the floor, pulling your heart forward and through the gates of your arms. Nice job. 3 more on your own. And I want you to really notice what it feels like to round through the spine. Really notice what it feels like to extend through the spine. So the extension through the spine, that cow shape, is going to be one of our key actions today. So really notice what that feels like as you get there. Great. And then at the end of your next exhalation, go ahead and inhale to a neutral spine. Curl both sets of toes under. And then start to press your pelvis up and back to a bent downward facing dog. So knees are bent. And really lift your outer hips up. Push down through the L shape of your fingers as you lift your armpits up and away from the floor. Nice. And you've just got about 3 breath cycles here. Imagining that you can lift your hip creases up towards the sky a smidge more. There we go. All right. And then slowly, you're going to bend your knees even more and start to walk your feet towards your hands. Once your feet get towards your hands, separate your feet hip distance apart. Nice work. Okay. Now, most of us are going to go ahead and grab our big toe mounds with our index and middle finger, and you wrap your thumb around your index and middle finger. You're holding on to your big toes. Bend your knees as much as you need to in order to accommodate this. On your next in-breath, start to pull your heart forward. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. And then as you exhale, you're going to push your big toe mound down. You're going to bend your elbows. You're going to draw your head towards your shin bones, and then maybe straighten your legs even more or just a little. And you just pause and you breathe there. And your elbows widen out to the right and to the left. Your head drops down. Nice work. All right. Next in-breath, come up halfway again, really reaching the heart forward and through. Gently release your toes. And this time you're going to bring your hands, palms flat against the fronts of your shin bones. Okay, with your palms flat against your shin bones, I really want you to lightly press your hands into your shins and then push your shins forward into your hands. And then notice that you probably have a lot more activation happening now on the backs of your legs. Keep that. Pull your heart forward a little bit more. Lengthen out through the crown of your head like you're pulling your turtle shell out. And then draw one hand to one hip and the other hand to the other hip. Fantastic. From here, start to bend your knees to a 90-degree angle and draw your spine upright for Utkatasana. Great. Now we're in this awkward shape. You're still pushing down through your big toe mounds like you did earlier. You're hugging your outer hips in, and then you might reach your arms forward like happy little zombies. Some of you might reach your arms up and over your head, and some of you might be like, yeah, I'm gonna hang out with my hands here. And so you do what's working for you, but you're pushing into your big toes. You're hugging your outer hips in. You're lifting up through the crown of your head. And well, you're also breathing. Nice job. On your next in-breath, see if you can find a little bit more length through the spine. And as you exhale, push your feet into the floor, straighten your legs along. Great. If your arms aren't up and overhead, inhale, reach your arms up and overhead. And then exhale, hands through heart center. Great. Let's move on. Inhale, circle sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, hinge forward at the hips, and we can start to reach our arms forward if we want, all the way down to the floor. Fantastic. From here, inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands on your blocks, and then step your right foot long and back. Great. Fantastic. So with our right leg back, our hands are on our blocks. We're going to pause here. We're going to breathe. This is that opportune moment where you might want to adjust your blanket back behind you if you've still got it. And you're going to lower your back knee down to the mat. Fantastic. And then we're going to straighten our front leg long. Fantastic. And then from here, we're going to walk our blocks back. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is make sure the sole of your front foot stays glued to the floor. So that's your left leg. Make sure it's glued to the floor. And then I want you to notice what happens if you round your back, feeling what happens if you make a little cat shape. And then feel what happens if you make more of a cow shape. Notice how that changes the sensation on the front leg. Ideally, we're working towards more of a cow shape. So we're just going to pause here. We're going to breathe. Some of you will choose to stay here with the sole of your left foot on the floor. Some of you will pick up the sole of the left foot and slide your left heel forward just a little bit. And notice how that now switches where you feel the sensation. Most likely the first time you felt it across the front of the shin. Now you're probably feeling it along the back of the calf. And then again, notice what happens if you round your spine. How does that feel? Or if you make more of a cow shape, how does that feel? Ideally, we're working for that cow shape so we can get more elongation along the back of our left leg. Nice job. All right, let's go ahead and shift our weight forward, bend our front knee, curl the back toes under your back leg, straighten your back leg long. Great, straighten your front leg long. Great, encourage you to still keep your hands on the blocks. Walk the blocks back so they're underneath your shoulders. And then again, see what happens now if you draw your outer left hip back a smidge, lift up through your inner right thigh, and then find a cow shape here in your spine. So the heart comes forward. Oh, fantastic. Now notice what happens if you peel the sole of your left foot up and away from the floor. Fantastic. And then you just notice and you pause and you breathe. And my hypermobile people or those experiencing hamstring stuff, really focus on pressing from your left sit bone down to your left heel, and then finding the engagement of the left quadricep pulling up. Nice work. Next in breath, go ahead and bend the front knee. Walk your hands forward, step your back foot forward to meet the front foot. Great. Once you find yourself at the top of your space, again, feet are hip distance apart. You have the option of hooking your index finger and middle finger around your big toe and using the thumb to create a little bit of a seal. From there, inhale, heart pulls forward and through, shoulders slide away from your ears. And then as you exhale, you press the big toes down. You open your elbows to the sides and you melt your head towards your shin bones. And you pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. Nice work, guys. Fantastic. Very gently inhale, come out of this halfway. And then exhale, release your hands if you've got them. Slide your hands up the fronts of your shin bones once again. Now again, we're going to push our hands into our shins forward into our hands. Pay attention to the blossoming of your buttocks in the back. So send them apart, reach your crown forward, and then slide one hand to one hip, another hand to the other hip. Inhale, start to bend the knees, sit your butt low, bring your chest up for Utkatasana. And then again, we find our chair pose. Some of you will reach your arms forward. Some of you will reach your arms up. Some of you will keep your arms on your hips. And some of you will be like, yeah, I'm not doing any of that. And maybe your hands just don't do anything. But you're pausing and you're breathing, you're pushing down into your big toe mound, you're hugging your outer hips in, and you're lifting up through the chest as best as you can. On your next exhalation, push down through the feet, straighten the legs long. And if your arms aren't up and overhead, inhale, reach your arms up and overhead. And then exhale, hands through heart center. All right, let's move on. Inhale, circle, sweep the arms up and overhead. This time as you exhale, reach your arms forward, bend your knees as much as you need to come all the way down. Fantastic. From there, inhale, halfway lift, and then exhale, hold in. Go ahead and put your hands on your blocks. Inhale, halfway lift here, and this time we're going to step our opposite leg back. So our left leg will go back, low lunge. Fantastic. Then we just take a moment in our low lunge, see how that is. Notice if we need to adjust our blanket behind us. And then when you're ready, you'll lower your back knee down to the blanket and you'll start to shift your pelvis back and walk your hands back. And again, we're going to keep the sole of our right foot on the floor. And then notice what it feels like to find your cat shape here. Notice what it feels like to find your cow shape. I imagine that in most cases, finding the cow shape of your spine intensifies the stretch you're feeling in your leg, but that might just be a me thing. Some of you will keep the sole of your right foot on the floor. Some of you will peel all 5 toes back towards your face and slide your right heel forward. And then again, notice what happens if you round the spine, finding the cat, or extend the spine, finding the cow. So your heart really comes forward and you just notice what that feels like. And you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. And we want to make sure that we're active here. So you're really pressing down into your right heel, pushing down into your left knee, hugging those points together. Awesome. All right. Next in breath, let's go ahead and shift our weight forward, bend our front knee, walk or block forward if need be. Curl the back toes under if they're not, straighten the back leg long, and then straighten the front leg long. From here, you'll probably need to walk your blocks back a smidge so they're underneath your shoulders. And then draw that outer right hip back, lift up through your inner left thigh. And you might choose to stay here as you reach your heart forward, finding more of your cow shape in your spine. Some of you will peel the sole of your right foot up and away from the floor and just observe and notice how that's feeling in your body. Nice work, guys. Okay, one more deep breath here. At the end of your next exhalation, bend your front knee, plant the foot on the floor. Again, we'll step our hands forward and step our back foot forward to meet the front foot. Fantastic. Okay, just as we've done before, you have the option to loop your index finger and big toes, or index finger and middle finger around your big toe. Thumb wraps around the outside edge. Inhale, pull your heart and sternum forward and through. Really press down into your big toes. And then exhale, draw the elbows wide, draw your crown down towards your shin bones. And we want to make sure that we are pressing big toe mounts down, and our hips are over our heels. Nice. From here, inhale, come up. As you exhale, release your hands. Bring your hands once again to the fronts of your shins. Now, this time I want you to really pay attention. So as you push your hands into your shins, press your shins back into your hands. Notice if you can shift your weight forward a smidge in your feet so your hips are really right over your heels. And notice if that suddenly gives you a lot of weight in your feet and a lot of activation on the backs of your legs. Now, draw one hand to one hip, the other hand to the other hip. Reach your head away from your tailbone as best, there you go, Jenny, as best as you can. There you go, Robin. And then on your next in-breath, bend your knees, sit your butt low, bring your head up, Utkatasana. Nice, Barbara. And then whatever arm variation you want to take, totally up to you. And you just pause and you breathe, and you pause and you breathe, and you just observe and you notice what's happening here. Fantastic. On your next in-breath, stand up, reach up, look up, so slight change of the breath. Notice what that did for you. And then exhale, hands through heart center. Okay, let's move on. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, reaching arms forward if you can, just trying to strengthen the back as well as stretch the hamstrings. Yep. Fantastic. From here, inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms on the floor, keep your arms straight and step your right foot back, low lunge. Step your left foot back, plank pose. Okay, 3 breath cycles here. We're going to press down through the L shape of our hands. We're going to lift up through our happy armpits. Yep, we're going to lift up through our inner thighs, and we're going to reach back through our heels. Now, bring your awareness to your toes, and I want you to think of isometrically pulling your toes forward as you draw the heels of your hands back until we start to feel our core come online. Nice. On your next in-breath, shift your weight forward, and then as you exhale, lower all the way down, hugging elbows back, heart forward. Great. Once you're down on your abdomen, let's isometrically push down into our hands. Press down into your big toe mounds and your pinky toe mounds. And then I want you to pull your hands back to pull your heart forward. And then once you pull your heart forward, you'll notice that your head naturally will start to lift, so that's fine. And then notice if you can keep the back of your neck as long as the front of your neck. Yep. If you can hug the shoulder blades onto your back body. Yep. And if you can press your toenails down just a smidge more. Yep. And you'll breathe for 3. You'll breathe for 2. You'll breathe for 1. Lower all the way down. Take one more cobra on your own, and I want you to intentionally go through it cue by cue, as though I were cueing you through every shape, every action, so that you can remember that. You're training yourself to have that skill set when you're doing it on your own. Nice work, guys. Exhale, lower all the way down. Listen closely. Let's curl both sets of toes under. I want you to push down lightly into your hands and push down lightly into your knees. Now scoop your belly a lot, like suddenly there's a train there. Now keeping that lift of your abdomen, push through your hands, push through your knees, come up to hands and knees, keeping the lift in the abdomen. Yep. Curl the toes under and make your way back to downward facing dog. Nice. And you'll just take a moment to pause and you'll take a moment to breathe here. Okay. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. And we're going to pause here for a moment. I want you to hug your inner thighs together. Yep. And then reach your left heel down as you reach your right heel away from the left heel. So the right heel's going up, the left heel's reaching down. You're hugging your inner thighs together to keep your hips square. Nice work. On your next exhale, hug your knee to your nose like that rounding of the little ball round through your spine. And then quietly plant your foot between your hands. Nice job, guys. From here, let's bring our hands to our blocks once again. Go ahead and straighten your front leg long. Okay. Now you will choose based upon your hamstring mobility that you're noticing at this moment, whether or not you need to take one of the blocks with you or whether or not you can leave it. But you're going to turn both feet to the long edge of your mat and you're going to rotate to your left. Okay. So if you needed the blocks, great. If you don't, great. It's totally fine. You're going to find yourself in a wide-legged forward fold facing the side of your mat. So Roberta, you're fine. Cool. And then some of you will pause here. Some of you will keep your hands directly underneath your shoulders. Some of you will walk your hands away from your heels, so they'll go forward. Some of you will walk your hands back between your legs and behind you. But you're just going to take a moment to choose and notice. All of us are going to press the pinky toe edges of our feet down into the floor. And then like you wanted to squish your mat together, pulling those inner, or rather the pinky toes towards each other, in towards your midline. And then notice what it feels like to see if you can blossom your buttocks here and really lift your sit bones here and really allow the head to fall. Nice work. Okay. Fantastic. Let's all bring our hands underneath our shoulders. Let's lift our spine halfway up. Okay, here's where we're trying to come back to that memory cue. Imagine your hands are pushing into the fronts of your shins. Press your shins forward into your imaginary hands. Now lift your spine a little bit more halfway and then draw one hand to one hip, the other hand to the other hip. Find your cow-shaped spine. So heart comes, there you go, Erica. Heart comes forward. Nice, Robin. And then when you're ready, push down through your feet and come all the way up to stand. Take a moment when you're vertical to really let your hips root down over your heels and find the weight, the stability in your legs. Great. Now your back toes are going to turn in towards the front of your mat a little bit. So your back heel will swing out and then your front toes will turn to face the top of your mat. So I guess another way of saying that is your right toes should face the top of your mat and your left toes will turn to face a little bit towards the top as well. Great, Erica, turn a little bit more. There we go. And then from here, let's open both arms out to the side, giant T shape. Again, push into your pinky toes, both pinky toes. Hug your outer edges of your feet into your midline. Reach out into both arms, and then let's reach our right arm up towards the sky like we're doing Hamilton. But this time, you're going to bump your hips back to the left and reach forward, out, and down through that right hand to come into triangle pose. Maybe a hand comes to the block, maybe it comes to a shin, maybe it comes to a floor. Nice. And then your left arm reaches up and overhead. And you just take a moment to pause. Notice if you need to adjust your back heel for you so you feel like you're still in your triangle pose. So for many of us, our left toes are pointing more towards the upper left corner of our mat. Our left heel bumps back. Nice adjustment there. And then keep pulling your right kneecap up. Press from your right sit bone down towards your right heel. Great. Listen very closely. Turn your gaze to the floor. Press into your back foot and inhale, come all the way back up. Nice job. Fantastic. Draw your hands to your hips. Now you're going to wiggle walk your back foot in just a couple of inches. And then pivot to face the top of your mat. So your right foot might need to wiggle walk to the right a little bit. Your left toes might need to turn a little bit more, and you'll square your hips towards the front of your mat for a prep for warrior one. Now from here, bend your front knee for warrior one. Just take a moment. Notice if your back foot is where you normally like to have it. And then some of you will keep your hands here. Some of you will reach your arms out to the right and to the left. And some of you will reach your arms up and overhead. And just maybe grab opposite hand and reach up. Maybe just reach up and look up. But you just pause and you breathe. We're trying to find a stretch across the front of your left hip as you press your left pinky toe down into the mat. Nice. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and keep our left hand high. Draw your right hand to your right hip. Go ahead and straighten your right leg long. Now, reach up through your left hand, reach forward through your left hand, draw your left hand forward and down to the floor or a block underneath your left shoulder. Great. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will plant your right hand to the floor or the block underneath your right shoulder. Some of you will stay right here. All of us are going to draw our outer right hip back. Yep. Lift your inner left thigh up. Yep. And press your left pinky toe down. Fantastic. And you'll just pause here and you'll breathe here and you'll notice what it feels like to maybe find your cow-shaped spine here. So your heart reaches forward. Nice. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will walk your hands forward of your front foot. If you're still holding your right hip, you might choose to let go of it at this point so you can walk your hands forward. The further forward you walk your hands, the more intense it becomes for your front leg. So you mitigate that for you and you just pause and you breathe. Nice. All right. On your next in-breath, go ahead and bend your front knee, pivot to the ball of your back foot, step to the top of your space. Okay. This time, let's go ahead and grab one of our blocks and slide it between our shin bones on its first or second setting. Here we go. And then again, you have the option of grabbing your big toes if you'd like or not. And then you'll inhale and pull your heart and sternum forward and through. And then you'll exhale, fold in, bending the elbows out to the side, melting the head towards the floor, hugging into the block if you're using it, pressing your big toe mounds down. Nice. All right, inhale, heart reaches forward and comes up. Release the hands. Draw your hands to the fronts of your shin bones. Now again, push your hands into your shins. Press your shins into your hands. Press your big toe mounds. Squeeze your block. From here, draw one hand to one hip, the other hand to the other hip. Find more of your cow shape in your spine so your head comes forward, heart melts down. There we go, Jenny. Bend your knees, sit your butt down, bring your head up for chair pose. Squeeze your block. Nice. Take whatever variation you want with your arms. Maybe they reach forward, maybe they reach up. Hug your block, bend your knees. Okay. Now, when you're ready, you're going to inhale, you're going to stand up, you're going to reach up, you might even look up. Some of you might raise to the balls of your feet. If you did that, slowly lower the heels back down. Draw the hands to heart center. Take a moment to close the eyes. and just check in. So we're doing a lot of really hard things today, and I want you to check in and notice every time we do it, do you remind yourself to come back to the breath? Do you remind yourself to just be with the experience? Or is there any type of criticism coming in, any type of worry? Our asana practice in particular is our training ground so that we can build that muscle, that sense of persistence, to be able to continue even in the face of challenge. So as we get ready to do the other side, I just want to set the invitation for you to notice how you did the last time, and then maybe set an intention of what you would like to focus on this go round. All right. The eyes are closed. Gently open the gaze. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. And then exhale, fold forward, arms reaching forward, bending the knees if you need to, coming all the way down to the floor. Fantastic. Once you're down, go ahead and remove that block. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step your right foot long and back, low lunge. Step your left foot back, plank pose. Hold for 5 breaths. And again, we're going to push down through the L shape of our hands. We're going to lift up through our armpits, lift the back of our head, lift up through those inner thighs. Hug your outer glutes, reach your heels back, and then isometrically pull your toes forward to the heels of your hands, pull your hands back to your toes. When you're ready, you'll inhale, shift your weight forward, and then exhale, lowering down, hugging the elbows back, reaching the heart forward. Chest, belly, and thighs touch at the same rate. Nice. From here, push the hands down isometrically, pull the heart forward, come into your baby cobra. Hug the elbows back, and then isometrically, you're going to push from your thumbs to your index finger, or rather thumbs to pinky finger, and notice how that broadens the collarbones. Press down into your big toe mounds and your pinky toe mounds, and see if you can hug the outer shoulder blades together a little bit more to lift a little bit more of the chest up. Nice work. Exhale, lower down. Inhale one more time, cobra on your own, and just notice what you notice into the shape. How can you breathe a little bit more ease, a little bit more strength, a little bit more fortitude? Nice, Laura. And then as you exhale, lower all the way down. Okay, curl your toes under, push your hands down, push your knees down. Feel what it feels like to really pull your internal organs away from the floor. I want you to keep that. And you can either come up through hands and knees or plank pose, but the internal organs stay lifted the entire time. Nice. And then exhale, downward facing dog. And this time as we're in our down dog, I want you to feel like you can lift your happy hip creases up towards where the wall and the ceiling meet. Blossom your buttocks so your inner thighs roll back and apart. And then notice what it feels like to find length in your spine. Great. Let's try the other side. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. And then we'll pause here. Again, we hug those inner thighs together. We reach the right heel down. We lift the left heel up and we see if we can breathe through it all. Nice, Robin. Exhale, knee to nose. Round through your spine. And then plant the foot gently between the hands. From here, we'll go ahead and bring our hands to our blocks. And then go ahead and straighten your front leg long. Fantastic. Now, based upon your hamstrings, based on the first set, you'll know whether or not you need to take the blocks with you, but we're going to turn towards our right, drawing both edges of our feet parallel to the short edges of our mat. Yep. And this time you can take the same exact variation you did before, or some of you might choose to interlace your hands at your low back and bring your hands back behind you. Now notice if you do that, the tendency is for your butt to go back. So we still want to have our hips over our heels, which feels a bit more precarious. Julie, can you bring a slight bend into your knees? There we go. Yeah, because you have a lot of mobility there. And then you just pause and you breathe and you let your head be super duper heavy. Awesome. And those of you that have the hands behind your back, bring your hands to your butt, slide your hands down to the legs and down to the floor. Great. All of us, let's bring our hands underneath our shoulders and we'll go ahead and inhale and halfway lift. And then again, imagine hands are on your shin bones. So really press isometrically those shin bones forward. Yep. And draw one hand to one hip, another hand to the other hip. Find your cow shape. So your buttocks blossoms back. Ha! Good job. Heart comes forward. Start to push through your feet and inhale, come all the way up. Once you're vertical, again, shoulders over hips, hips over heels, rooting down. Now you'll turn your right toes towards the top of your mat, your left toes towards the top of your mat, finding your setup for Utthita Trikonasana. So maybe other way, Erica, other way, Julie. So right toes towards the camera. There we go, left toes towards the camera, fantastic. Both arms open out into a giant T shape. And again, press through your pinky toes. Hug in so you feel your inner thighs lift up. Then bump your hips to the back of your space. Reach forward through your left arm, drawing your left hand to the block, shin, or floor in the front. Great. And I want you to take a couple of breaths to adjust the shape for you. So for me, I notice that I tend to swing my back heel out a little bit so that my pelvis feels better, so that my spine feels like it just extends out through the pelvis. And it doesn't feel crunched anywhere, but you notice what works for you. And you just, are you okay? Okay. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what that feels like. Great. And then let's take our gaze back down to the floor. Press into your back foot and return back up to vertical. Push into your back foot, reach back through your back hand, come back to vertical. Yep. All right, go ahead and draw your hands to your hips. Wiggle walk your back foot closer to your front foot, just a couple of inches. Then start to turn your hips to face the top of your mat. Wiggle walk your left foot to the left as much as you need to. Swim that right heel back even more if you need to. And then you'll start to bend the front knee for warrior one. And then notice if you need to adjust your feet for you. From there, some of you will keep your, good Erica, some of you will keep your hands on your hips. Some of you will reach your arms out and up and overhead. Nice. Laura, hug your outer left hip back for me. Just there we go. And then keep pushing through your left big toe mound like you're going to squish that. There you go. Nice. And then Barbara, press into your right pinky toe a little bit more. That's the back foot. Yep. There's your stability. Fantastic. And then we're going to pause and we're going to breathe here. And some of you might grab with the opposite hand. Some of you might just reach your arms up. Some of you might look up. You're just good and you're breathing. Awesome sauce. And then you're going to release your left hand to your left hip. There we go. Go ahead and straighten your left leg long. Nice job. Nice. And then go ahead and reach up, forward, and down. Nice, Roberta. And your right hand is coming to the right block or the floor underneath your right shoulder. Nice. And then you're going to take a moment. Some of you will keep that left hand right here. Some of you will lower the left hand to the block or the floor underneath you. All of us are going to pull our outer left hip back, lift up through our inner right thigh, and press our right pinky toe down. And notice what happens if we find our cow shape here. So our belly drops, but our heart lifts. There, nice, teeth. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you might choose to walk your hands and blocks forward of your front foot. Now, be mindful if you do that, that intensifies the stretch that's happening in that back of the front leg. And you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. And you notice this is our testing ground. It doesn't mean we're going balls to the walls to hurt ourselves. It just means we're giving ourselves the reminder that we can change. Awesome sauce. Let's go ahead and release. Walking our hands back underneath our shoulders, bend our front knee, pivot to the ball of our back foot, and step to the top of our space. Once you're there, again, you might slide that block in between your shin bones. You might grab your big toe mounds as well. We'll go ahead and inhale, heart and sternum will reach forward. And then exhale, folding in for Uttanasana, widening the elbows, the shoulders might hug together on the back, the head descends, you press down into the big toe mounds and heels. Great. Gently release, inhale, come up. Bring your hands to your shins. Push your shins into your hands, hands into the shins. Okay, blossom your buttocks behind you. Yep. Then bring one hand to one hip, the other hand to the other hip. Bend the knees, sit down for Utkatasana, chair pose. Now this time, again, hands might come forward. This time in chair pose, some of you might choose to lift your heels. You might be like, yeah, Jessica, that's not happening. If you're doing it, you're squeezing that block for dear life. The more you can squeeze into the block and sit your butt low and reach your arms forward in opposition, the more you'll have that. And then when you're ready, you might lift up, reaching the arms up, straightening the legs, keeping the heels lifted, squeezing your block. And then we'll all come to Tadasana, exhaling, lowering the heels, drawing the hands to heart center, taking a moment to soften the gaze, close the eyes. Fantastic. And you just notice, how'd that go? How you breathing? Great. All right. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Hands come forward. There we go. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, go ahead and remove your block. Plant your palms. Step yourself back to plank pose. 3 breath cycles here. Then when you're ready, you'll shift your weight forward. You'll lower all the way down. You'll come through your cobra or your up dog. And then you'll make your way back to downward facing dog. And you just pause. So when you have the capacity, or rather you have the invitation, you're offered the ability to just move through things, do you retain that sense of conscious choice? Do you retain that sense of awareness? That is literally all that our practice is intending to help us remember, to cultivate that strength, that awareness. All right, let's move on. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. As you exhale, draw your knee to your nose, plant your foot between your hands. Now, at this point in time, I would encourage you to all pad your back knee, but you choose to do whatever the heck works for you. Great. Fantastic. Now, with our back knee padded, I'm going to turn so I can face all of you. We've got our right leg in front. We are going to go ahead and maybe lower our left hand to the block or the left hand to the floor. You're going to then bring your right hand to the outside edge of your right thigh. Push down into your left hand. Push down into your right foot. Scoop your right low belly away and start to rotate our rib cage over towards the right. Some of you will stay here. Some of you will reach your right arm back, bend your back knee, and grab the outside edge of your back foot. And I want you to pay attention to where you feel this stretch. So hopefully we're all feeling it in the belly of our left thigh. So Julie, lower your left hand to the floor. Yep. Rotate to the right. Yep. Bend your back knee. And then reach your right hand back to grab your, there we go. And if that doesn't work because that's too far, that's okay. This is perfectly fine. Hi, gentlemen. And then we'll inhale and unwind, releasing our hands now to the floor or the blocks. Hi, Alexander. Hi, Elliot. Well, I see that ring. That's fantastic. And then we're going to shift our weights back, straightening our front leg long. Now, here's what we've been working towards, or at least one of the two shapes. Some of you are going to flex through your front foot and start to slide your front foot forward. And maybe you'll start to walk your back knee back. Bye, Elliot. And we're going to work for Ardha Hanumanasana or Hanumanasana. But you've got 10 breath cycles here. We all know the actions that we're supposed to do. We push down into our front foot. We push down into our back knee, back foot. We hug our inner thighs together. We reach our heart forward, finding more of that cow shape in our spine. And you just notice what happens. You might take a couple breaths and sit there. You might then slide the front foot forward or the back foot back, and you'll take a couple more breaths and sit there. But our front foot is active, our back foot is active, our breath is deep and full. Nice work. Oh, Jenny, you've got a lot of entertaining going on there. And then when we're ready, we're going to slowly come out of it the way that you went in. So if you walked your back foot back, you start to walk your back foot forward. If you slid your front foot forward, you start to slide your back foot back enough so that you can return to a low lunge. And then you're going to make your way back to a downward facing dog. And you just pause and you breathe in your downward facing dog and you just observe and you notice and you feel what that feels like. And then when you're ready, we'll try the other side. So you'll inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. And then exhale, round through the spine, knee to nose. Plant that foot between your hands. And then again, option to lower the back knee down to a blanket. From there, we've got the option to lower our right hand to the block or the floor. Our left hand comes to the outside edge of our left thigh. Push down into your right hand, push down into your left foot, scoop your left low belly and start to rotate your rib cage towards the left. You might choose to stay here. You might swim your left arm back, bend your right knee, grab the outside edge of your right foot, and you just pause and you breathe. Some of you might slide your hips back to your right heel. Some of you might draw your right heel closer to your hips. But you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice happening here. And then when you're ready, you'll gently unwind, release that back foot, bring both hands to the blocks in front of you. Shift your weight back to straighten your front leg long. And then we've got 10 breaths. You might slide your left foot forward. You might walk your right knee back, but you just take your time. And the more that we can work those actions, so right knee down, left heel down, suck the inner thighs together, suck those two limbs together, you'll find that you can keep the natural arch in your spine, so more of that cow shape in your spine. And you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. Oh, poor Erica. Puppy love all in her face. She's trying to get away from it, and that dog is so happy. Look at its tail. And you just pause and you breathe. I mean, look at its tail go. That's so happy. I mean, I don't know if you're happy, but it's happy. And then when you're ready to come out of it, you're going to walk your way out. So if you slid the front foot forward, you start to slide the back foot back. If you slid the back knee back, you start to slide it forward enough so that you can return to your low lunge and then make your way back to downward facing dog. Nice job. And then our very last shape here. Let's go ahead and come forward into plank. Everybody's fun, happy cousin. And you've got 10 breaths here. And your 10 breaths might be short, they might be long, but you've got your 10 breaths here. And then after you've taken your breaths, you'll slowly reach your heart forward and lower all the way down to the floor. And you lower with as much control as you have capable. Nice. 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 Once you find yourself onto your abdomens, your hands will come to your low back and you'll interlace your hands at the webbings. Where'd you go, Laura? You're going to press down through the tops of your big toe mounds and your pinky toe mounds. You're going to draw your shoulders up towards your ears and draw your shoulder blades together on your back. And then you reach your arms back to lift your chest up. You hug the shoulder blades together on the back. You reach the back of your neck long, so it's as long as your front of your neck. Yep, there you go, Erica. And then you might reach up through the inner edges of your thighs, and your big toes might reach so far back that they reach up. And you might find yourself floating in Shalabhasana, and you breathe for 3. And you breathe for 2. You breathe for 1. As you exhale, you lower all the way down. Here comes the second of our 2 poses. Let's go ahead and bend our right knee. If you can, reach around with your hand and grab the outside edge of your right foot. If that's not going to happen, you do have a strap. You can use your strap. And you just pause and you breathe. And then you'll gently release the right foot and go ahead and draw the opposite foot in. You just pause and you breathe. And then you go ahead and release that. And then bend both knees, reach around and grab the outside edges of both feet. And again, if you need the strap, that works here too. Now, the first thing we're going to do here today is I want you to really draw the shoulder blades onto your back body. Yep. And then lift your ears in line with the tops of your shoulders. Yep. And then when you're ready, you're going to floint through your feet like happy little Barbie dolls. And then you can kick back as far as you want. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what it feels like. So we're hoping the back body engage as we lift into our Dhanurasana bow pose. And you stay for maybe about 4 or 5 breaths. And then when you feel complete, you're going to lower down slowly. And you're just going to let yourself relax and breathe, bringing an ear to the mat. And you just pause there and you just breathe there. And you feel what it feels like to really allow all of your weight to surrender into the floor. Can you feel, can you hear, can you sense your heartbeat? Can you feel the movement of your lungs as you breathe in and as you breathe out? Notice if you want to switch to the opposite cheek on the mat. And you just pause and you breathe. I think it's very interesting. I'm starting to have this observation right now in this moment that a lot of things in life are not complex, meaning they're simple, but that doesn't necessarily make them easy. And if we can remember that, it will give us the capacity to address whatever situations we might encounter in life, but just remembering that a lot of times they're not complex, they're simple, but they're not necessarily easy. All right, let's go ahead and extend our right arm alongside our ear, roll over onto your right side, and make your way onto your back. We are moving towards Shavasana. Not yet, but in a moment. I'm going to do one last thing to torture you. I'm sorry, but Erica will be happy. So you're just going to pause and you're going to notice what it feels like to be on your back really quickly. How does the back of the body feel right here? Now, some of you will choose to stay right here as you are. A lot of you, I suspect, would enjoy this next shape. So, and by enjoy, I mean benefit from, so we're all going to probably do it. You're going to bring your block and slide it between your inner thighs. And you can pick the first or the second setting, whatever works for you. And then you're going to lift your knees over your hips and your shins parallel to the floor. Flex through your feet like happy little Barbie dolls. And then bring your hands to the middle of your thighs. Like you were pressing on your shins before, you're now going to push your thighs into your hands into your thighs. I want you to spread your buttocks on the floor so you find your natural curve of your spine. And then you're going to kick your knees to your face and then push your knees away. Oh, so don't actually kick like that, Laura. I'm sorry. Draw both knees towards you and then push both knees away from you. So I'm trying to make you do sneaky core work here. So you're pushing your thighs actively away from you as you try to draw them towards you. And then you're blossoming your buttocks behind you, underneath you, so that you're toning the core on the front, the sides, and the back of the body. And we're going to breathe for 3, for 2, for 1. Gently release. All right. Did we feel any core work or is that just a me thing? Great. All right. Now from here, let's go ahead and remove that block. And I want you to extend your legs long against the floor. And I want you to check in. Notice how you feel in your body right now. Notice if there's any final shape or shapes your body feels like you might benefit from, or if you are straight up ready to go to Shavasana. Whatever works for you, you do. Whatever doesn't work for you, you don't do. That's completely fine. Those that are doing movements, you might want to make sure that if you're doing something asymmetrical, you visit both sides. And then when you're ready, we'll all make our way to our final resting pose. So maybe it's Shavasana, maybe it's constructive rest, maybe it's legs up the wall. Nice. And those of you that are still settling into your shape, I encourage you to make sure you feel comfortable wherever you are. Really comfortable. Nice. Then we'll all take 3 breaths. So you'll take a big breath in through the nose, and then an audible exhalation from your mouth. 2 more, just like that. Last one. So, just as I said before, our practice is intended to be a place where we can remind ourselves that we have the capacity to face whatever challenges we might experience. And our practice is also there to remind us that we have the opportunity to take time to relax, to take time to turn inward, to take time to do things that are pleasurable. And so, as you're here for these next few moments, these next few breaths, I invite you to relish this shape, the sense of ease, the sense of comfort, maybe even pleasure that you're getting from just being present to this moment in your life without having to do anything for anybody but you. I'll leave you alone with you for a few more moments and a few more breaths, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. Notice if there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape. And if there is, by all means, please stay here. When you are ready to move on, allow movement to re-enter into your physical form in whatever way feels enjoyable, curious to you. From there, you'll make your way to one of your sides and just pause for a few breaths. Those in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. Those on your side, you'll start to make your way to a tall and vertical seat. When you are vertical, I do encourage you to elevate your bum on a block or a blanket. So keeping the gaze soft or the eyes closed, bring one hand to your heart, and the other hand stacks right on top of it. Our practice in many respects is intended to help us strip away all that isn't us. And I think that the more that we do that, not only do we gain the capacity to be persistent in the moments that we need to be persistent, but we learn to relax and to relish and to cherish the moments of joy and pleasure when they come. But we also learn to tune inward, to notice and to trust that intelligence that rests right beneath our hands. And so as you're here for these last few moments, these last few breaths, I invite you to just notice what that intelligence might be revealing to you right now, or even ask it where you might, or ask it for the guidance that you might be seeking. We'll take 3 breaths here, settling in with our own heart space. Our own inner knowing. And then we'll go ahead and complete our practice with a collective breath, followed by a collective Om. Guide your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other, receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum, and lift your sternum to your thumbs. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light, the breath, the guidance within me honors and salutes the light, the breath, the guidance within each of you. Namaste.